Hey, Justin, so we're here to talk about the repairs software that we have within our point of sale software. And it's really interesting because we started off in this space doing our work with jewelers and bike shops.
Yeah.
And, for years and years, we just focused on repairs in those businesses. And now we've discovered that the same repairs facility are working for retailers of music instruments and retailers of sewing machines and firearms retailers and mobility scooter retailers, even swimming pool maintenance organisations. So we've got a whole range of different businesses that are able to leverage these pretty cool repairs facilities.
Well, that's it. I mean, we call it repairs, but at the same time, if you want to track your, jobs that you do for servicing and things like that, it's funny, like the industries we deal with, nearly every of them, have some sort of repair/servicing facility within them. So, it's a really good way to manage and track all that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where the benefit for us of serving in multiple marketplaces has enabled us to learn from all these different marketplaces, because even as we were fine-tuning the repairs facilities for, say, firearms dealers, or even in the fishing space where they repair different fishing equipment, that's benefited the work that jewelers do. And the work that jewelers do benefits these other businesses too.
Yeah, absolutely. Over the years, it's become really comprehensive, just from, as you said, different industries, requiring different things out of the module.
Yeah. And I mean, I think back to where we started. We first did repairs more than 20 years ago. And I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I can look back now and say it was pretty crappy. And look, we thought it was good at the time, and we were very much reflecting what people were wanting to do at the time. But as we worked more in that space, and as we had hundreds and hundreds more retailers using the repairs facility, we learnt so much.
Yeah.
And that's very much reflected in what you're going to show us. So let's get into it and let's have a look at the repairs software.
Absolutely. So before we get into it, this is the screen, essentially the main dashboard. The reason I'm showing this screen is a couple of ways to access the repair or workshop facility. But I'll just show you how quickly and easily you can just add the button here. So if I go edit, click on add menu item.
So you're just going to add a button to the point of sale screen?
Absolutely. And,
nice.
If you're a bike store, I can choose a bike picture here and go add menu item. Now, all of a sudden, I've got a repairs button that takes me straight to that facility. So as soon as I save that template, click on that, that will take me into my repairs facility. So this is essentially my center of the universe in regards to, servicing jobs and repairs. Yeah. This is where I can absolutely manage it, from start to finish, and everything in between as well. I'll go through adding a repair in a couple of different ways to start with, and then I'll get to the the boring things like the setup screen and things like that. The reason I'll show you that is just how comprehensive it can be, and the sort of more you add things in as far as setup goes, the easier and more streamlined the process is of adding a job in.
So just on that though, we've got businesses that like to use this at a fairly basic level.
Yeah.
We've also got businesses that want to use this at absolutely the deepest level possible. And so within the software, they've got the capacity to decide how much or how little of this they use.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll start with how little, really simple. So obviously you've got the ability to choose a customer here. So I'll just choose this customer. Receive bus. So this is just repair details, the general repair details. So staff members, expected pickup dates and so forth. So let's just do a date here. To say this is in the bike industry, it might just be a quick tire repair and a pump up or something like that. So you can just quickly type in whatever it is down here, and I can click on finish, and that's done. That's simple. I can bypass all the screens, and that's just how easy it is to add a simple repair in. If I want to be a bit more, comprehensive and add, a lot more information about that specific item, what I can do is I can, let's just say I want to quote them price here. So I can actually click that box, and that allows me to sort of differentiate between, quotes and actual other jobs as well.
So this is where the customer, has said, look, can you let me know how much it's going to cost before I say go ahead?
Yeah, exactly. So during this process, you're obviously talking to the customer, what sort of type of job they want on their specific item. This is where you'll generally quote them a price. And the reason why we quote them a price, you don't need to, but at the end, when you're actually completing it, you can actually choose to use the quoted amount or the actual, the actual amount that it's come to based on the stock used and things like that as well. But when you've got all those details in, you just simply click next. Now, this is where it's handy. So basically, I've selected the customer in the previous screen. So if that customer, let's just say I'm a sewing shop and they've purchased the actual sewing machine from me in the past, I can actually go select stock, select the customer stock here, and the system is actually smart enough to list all the stock that has been purchased from me in the past.
So just buy that customer from you.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And that way you've got all that servicing history against that specific item as well.
Yeah.
If they haven't purchased it from you in the past, you can simply just use this drop-down menu here, choose what type of repair you're carrying out. And obviously, this is across multiple industries. So if you're just a sewing machine place, you would just have those ones listed there suited to your industry.
So if I can ask you the question though, that list that you've just had drop down there, I've got control over that as a customer?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And that's where the setup screen comes in handy.
Okay.
So for demonstration purposes, I'm just showing you the different examples of different industries, how they use it.
Yep.
And the good thing is you can actually adjust those templates as well. So if I click on sewing machine, you'll see here I've got a template that's suited to that particular item. If I choose a ring, you'll see here I've got, stone colors and stone counts and things like that as well. So you can adjust those templates depending on what type of item is getting repaired.
Yep.
So let's just do a mobility scooter. So I can put in model and make and everything in here. So let's just say Honda, the G1000. The good thing about this is as well is obviously you've got the ability to do free text, which I've just demonstrated. Also too, you've got the ability to have drop-down menus as well. So in colour, I've got all my different colours listed here, which I can just select from a drop-down menu.
Yep.
Now that's really handy for things like sewing machines and things like that. When they, leave their sewing machine with you, they might have, power adapters or accessories or something like that they leave with the machine. So you can basically have a little drop-down menu that says yes or no, whether that was left with the item or not. And that way, when you're giving the item back, you know exactly what needs to be handed back to the customer.
Right.
So when you click on next, you've got the ability to list all your different repair types that you carry out within the business. So if I'm a bike store, I might do a gold service, a silver service, and a bronze service.
Right.
If I click on this gold service here, I click on next, it will list everything that's carried out in that service under the repair instructions over here. Let's just do a sewing machine repair. You'll see here that you can automatically associate specific repairers to those jobs.
Yep.
So within the system, you can mark whether they're an internal or external repairer. So let's just say John Pierce here, he only does sewing machine repairs. As soon as you click on that, that will automatically associate that repairer to that job. And same as if they work on a certain retail price as well. So let's just say John Pierce, he does his repairs for $99. You can set that amount and that way that adds to the retail price of the repair.
Right.
So you've got the price here, $99.95. Once you're on that, you can just simply click finish, and essentially it's in the software now.
Just going back to those sort of stock standard repair types, that then gives me an ability from a business point of view to treat my different repair types as products that I can offer, which makes it easy for me to promote that to customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And obviously I spoke about the assigning repairers to specific jobs. You can actually do stock as well. So you'll see here that within this repair, it might require lubrication or whatever it might be. So within that, it's going to grab lubrication from my stock file.
Yep.
And obviously that's $9.95. So that's going to add that price to the overall price of the job I'm carrying out as well.
Yep.
You'll see an images tab. So you've also got the ability to add images. So really,
Images of the repair.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So handy for things like, if it is a sewing machine, there might be a crack or whatever it might be in the machine prior to them handing it over.
Yep.
So you've got that proof there of, before and after images. So if the customer tries to say, hey, you crack this, you've obviously got that proof there to go back on.
Right.
But also too, things, obviously our jewelers will use it to manufacture rings and things like that. So if I go over to this repair here, see how you've got the ability to add your sketches of the ring in there.
Oh, nice.
And then you've got obviously the finished product as well. So depending on how you're using the facility, whether you're manufacturing something or obviously carrying out repairs or servicing jobs, you've got the ability to add images to it as well.
Okay.
Cool. And then obviously the job cards. So once you add the repair into the software, you've got the ability to print job cards by clicking this button down here. So with the job cards, pretty flexible. They can be to a thermal printer, an A4 or A5, customizable as well. And you can obviously choose to have like your terms and conditions and things like that printed on each job card.
Yep.
I'll just preview one now. So you've got the ability to have 3 cards. You've got the business job card, you've got the internal one, and then you've got the customer job card as well. So essentially this is a pretty basic one, but as I said, you can customize it, put logos on it. With A4 and A5, you can obviously make look, a bit prettier and things like that as well.
And sorry, just to touch on that, with the level of customization, it's pretty powerful, isn't it? I can really make that job card look beautiful if I want to, if my business is that sort of higher end type business.
Exactly. And the good thing is you can actually send each job card to different printers. So for your internal ones, you don't care about how they look. Obviously, they just sit in the workshop somewhere. And the good thing about that is a lot of our stores will actually customize it to have potentially the customer name and number or even the expected pickup date highlighted in bold. And that way, if you've got multiple jobs lined up on the whiteboard or, however you set them out, at least that way you can quickly and easily see what needs to be completed and things like that today as well. But then, as you said, for your customer card where you want it to look a bit, sexier and have logos and things like that, you can send that to the A4 and A5 printer. Cool. Just on, obviously, I spoke about, finding repairs and things like that. So a couple of ways to do it. First of all, we've got our dashboard. So here you can sort by status. So let's just say you come in the morning, you want to see exactly what job needs to be completed, for that day, even by a customer as well. You can sort by status down here just by ticking these specific boxes as well. And then a lot of our stores will actually use the reports as well. So you can pull out a report. This is typically handy for, you might have multiple repairers within the store, like you've got a big workshop. You might want to see, what John needs to be completed for today. So you can go in there, select your repairers, select your certain status, and that will give you a PDF report.
So, you're giving us a few examples here of different types of businesses that are using it. And so it demonstrates a lot of flexibility, but it also, from a management point of view, it gives me the ability to manage my workflow in a way that hopefully makes my business more efficient.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's why, from start to finish, you can actually manage that whole process. And, what I've demonstrated, it can be, time consuming and things like that. But at the same time, I've shown you absolutely everything to do with a repair. So generally it is pretty quick adding a repair in, and that's where the setup screen comes in handy as well. The more things you can set up. So
let's spend a bit of time on this, because this is really the guts of it, isn't it? In terms of deciding how simple or complex I want my repairs management to be.
Well, that's it. And, we've had customers come over from, systems that maybe handle repairs not as well, but handle it, or even they've created their own, Excel spreadsheets of how they handle it. And that's part of our process. We'll obviously have a discussion with them in regards to how they need to handle their repairs and so forth, and we'll try and replicate that as best we can. So each business and each industry is absolutely unique. There's no one way of adding a repair into the software, and that's going as far as setting up templates, what items you repair, all of that sort of stuff as well.
And that's where I can structure it so that, like you said earlier, I can say, hey, for a gold standard repair, it's going to include all of this. And so on. So it makes it easy for me to, where I'm doing, I don't want to sound sort of glib about it, but where I'm doing kind of cookie cutter repairs, I've got the ability to go and structure it in a way that saves me a lot of time for managing it.
Exactly. And that's where, assigning prices to those repairs and even stock items as well. That way, whoever is adding the repair into the system, whichever staff member it is, they're not trying to make up prices in their head. They're not trying to work out what stock used and things like that as well. So the more you can sort of automate it, the easier it is. This is sort of the template I was talking about, without boring you too much about the setup screen, but this is where you can essentially set up all your items that get repaired, and what information you want when you're adding that repair in. So you can just choose to simply tick the boxes if you want to know, make, model, height, thickness, capacity, whatever it might be.
Yep.
And if it's not in this list, you can certainly add them in as well.
Right. So again, that's a list that I would be tailoring for my business.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Now, obviously, we spoke about the quoted amount at the start. So this is where that comes into play. So you've got the ability to, when our market is completed, that will obviously automate either an SMS or an SMS or an email to that particular customer, saying their job is due to be collected. But you've also got the ability to use the quoted amount versus the actual amount. So I quoted them $100 at the start. I didn't factor in that $9.95 lubrication as well. So if you wanted to stick to your word and use the quoted amount, and that's what you offer them, you can just simply tick that, or you can tick the use actual amount, and that will use the $109.90 price.
Right.
And then, paying off repairs is really simple. So obviously they're all barcoded. So if the customer was to come in, you can just scan that barcode. That takes you straight to the point of sale screen to transact that payment.
So when you say I scan the barcode, you mean I'm scanning the barcode on the repair docket that I've given the customer?
Yeah, correct. Exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
And if they don't have it, if you're at the point of sale screen, what you can do is you can simply find that customer, click on pay repairs, and it'll actually list all their outstanding repairs that they need to pay.
Right. Excellent. So if I want to, for example, see all of the repairs that are outstanding for a customer, or all the repairs that are outstanding for a repairer, all of that I can easily see within the system.
Exactly. So you've got the dashboard style, which is probably the most popular option, because here you can, as I said, you can customize these fields. So like most screens within the software, you can choose to show and hide specific information, and you can actually sort those columns as well by that information. And then you've got the ability to change it by status as well. Otherwise, if you just wanted a PDF report of it, you can absolutely get that information as well.
Okay, cool. All right, what else have you got?
Look, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Essentially, let's come back and stop sharing the screen. Let's just talk about it for a moment.
Yep.
So, as I said earlier, we have developed this software originally for jewelers and bike shops, but we've got repairers using it in music, sewing, firearms, fishing, mobility scooters, pool repairs, all sorts of business situations, because it's proven to be very flexible for them.
Yeah.
So when you are demonstrating this to people, what sort of things are they saying when they're seeing it?
Like how comprehensive it is. And as I said, how streamlined the process can be as well.
Right.
a lot of people sort of get scared and they'll just put it in as a stock item, and coming from other providers, they'll just do a repair as a general sale, and that's it. But that way you're not tracking stock use, you're not tracking labour used, you're manually notifying that customer when jobs are completed. But you saw how easy it is, to add a repair in. As soon as you add it in, the system does the rest for you. So, they're loving how comprehensive it can be. But with how comprehensive it can be, usually that means it's very difficult to add all that information in, but it is really simple at the same time.
And look, I would say that the difficulty diminishes as you become more familiar with the software.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so from a business strategic perspective, our view is that we want to try and help businesses that do repairs to understand the value of the repairs business to them. So we do that by tracking the inventory they're using, the labour they're using, reducing the time they're spending on paperwork. And therefore, at the end of the month or at the end of the year, they can look at that and say, okay, if I carve out my repairs business, here's where the real value is for me. And it also adds to their view of the broader value of a customer, because, if you sold the customer, a bike or a watch or a mobility scooter, and then they're coming back for these regular repairs or services, you can see how that value builds up over time. And that becomes really useful from a business management perspective.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay. So big question when people, I've spoken to people about our repairs software, and the thing they'll say is, okay, I like the software. How much extra do I have to pay for it?
My answer is zero. Obviously, depending on the package they buy, it's all included in that. So no additional fees for any sort of modules within the software, and repairs are included in that.
So if they're getting if they're a sewing center and they're using the sewing center software, they're a jeweler, they're using the jeweler software, repairs is included in there automatically.
Absolutely. Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Look, our goal today is to, I think, beyond you demonstrating the repairs software, our goal is also to demonstrate that, we're not paid actors who are dressed up for the part.
No.
So, there's an authenticity to what we do.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'd say is what we've demonstrated today will be different to what we're selling in 6 months' time, because our software continually evolves. And that's one of the beauties of the engaged customer base we have. We're constantly getting feedback, and we're listening to that, and we're fine-tuning the software in different ways to suit what our customers are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more we're seeing, certain industries sort of pivot into these servicing work and things like that, the more we're sort of getting out of the facility. And as I said, this is just a general overview of it, but ideally, during the sales process, we'll get to know a bit more about the business and how they essentially handle, their repairs and workshop side of things. And, we'll try and replicate that as best we can and obviously demonstrate based on that.
All right. Thanks for demonstrating.
No worries.
Thank you.